Hello everyone, JesterGio here, and today we're going to be reacting to the reveal show that happened about 4 hours ago. Normally I would watch these on my own. Let me take away the chat. Okay, wait, let me check to see if I'm recording, because, you never know. Okay, yes, I am recording. Okay, normally I would watch these on my own, just like watch them on my own time, and then do nothing with that information because usually they just reveal skins in these reveal shows, sometimes reveal crossovers. And usually I would get spoiled on these things before actually watching the reveal shows. But today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to actually watch the entire review show and kind of give my thoughts on the things that are going on. Now, as you can see, I have muted the review show, and that is because I don't want to hear them yap about what's going on. I kind of want to get through this thing really quickly because it's an hour and 35 minutes. So I really don't want to just stick around and just listen to the entirety of the real show. All I want to do is just see the new content that is coming out and then edit it down into a nice little video for you guys to watch. That's kind of why I have the music playing in the background right now of my computer because I don't want to just edit this video down and give the highlights of it. So I'm going to be going at this at a 2 times speed, occasionally just moving forward if we're dragging a bit too far into it. And yeah, we're just going to see all the content that has been shown in the reveal show. Hopefully, there's a new character that has been revealed. Uh, I severely doubt it though, because of the fact that we did get the new wave of survivors and hunters that we got from the Koa event. For those of you who don't know, what got revealed was the mime, who is going to be a survivor who just released and will come out next week for to be purchased by clues. Emil, who's going to be our identity hunter, who will come when Game Zero eventually launches. And finally, the little small boy survivor who I don't know the name of, I can't remember. But yeah, so while I am hopefully expecting a new character reveal or at least some balancing changes, because those are the things that I'm the most interested about, I do kind of accept that that might not happen in this reveal show. But I guess with that preamble out of the way, I guess it's about time we actually do watch the reveal show now. Let's actually skip ahead a little bit because I'm pretty sure. Yep. Let's just skip ahead a little bit because, yeah, they kind of just spend a lot of time, 30 minutes, just talking about the things that have been going on, or at least showing off all the things that going on. So, our first reveal is for the Dreamweaver Rabbit event, I guess. And the skin is going to be for Breaking Wheel. And in my opinion, it's not a bad skin. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of do like a lot of the skins that they have been posting out for Breaking Wheel. It's kind of hard not to mess up a Breaking Wheel skin, in my opinion. So, I actually do really like this skin. So, the way you get this skin is via a gift from July. Simply log in for 7 days to receive the S tier skin. Which, okay, I'm not gonna lie, uh, Identity 5 has been really, really generous with the skins they have been gifting out. Probably because of the boycott. But nevertheless, from my memory, the recent charity skin that has been released, or at least has been teased for Meteorologist, is also a free skin that you could have gotten, or could get. I just don't remember because I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been keeping up with the game. But they have been very generous with the skins they've been gifting out, which I do appreciate. But it doesn't really make up for the AI use. But skins are one thing. Let's see what else is in store. Let's just move forward a bit. Priestess. All right. The Midsummer Tide Show. The Midsummer event, which, for those who don't know, is an event that happens every year during the summer. I can't. I think it coincides with the anniversary event for uh, NA because for those who don't know, we get two anniversaries. We get the CN anniversary event, and we also get the NA anniversary event for when IDV launched global. I guess global. Yeah, the global anniversary is the best way to put it, not NA. But yeah, we get all these things. We get a Priestess B tier. We get an Axe Boy B tier. I think this is emotes for both the Priestess and the Axe Boy, which is it's nice, I guess. A few stickers, some spyglasses. I'm guessing these are deals, so spyglass deals, inspiration deals, and yeah, the other stuff. Also, Priestess A tier accessory. That's nice to see. The next summer skin. The next summer skin is going to be going to. I'm guessing that's Dancer. Let me check. Oh no, Mind's Eye. Hmm. Is this the better than? You know what? I kind of dig it. I kind of like this skin for Mind's Eye. Do I think it's better than a lot of her other skins? Probably not, but I always do love the casual look of characters in skins, and we are getting another skin for Naiad. Wait, so does that mean? Oh, okay. So we are getting two summer skins, which is kind of interesting. Usually they would just give us one summer skin for each of the years, but this year they're giving us two. Uh, i- is this also because of the boycott? Like, it's so hard, like, trying to discern why NetEase is doing the things that they're doing, such as, giving us more free S tier skins, charity skins, Asia games, to be exact, like introducing new like servers and countries to the Identity 5 landscape and the competitive scene, and now giving us two summer skins instead of the usual one. It could be generosity. It could be just because the boycott has been really doing a number on them. But regardless, this is a nice addition. Both the skins do look good, and I'm sure this will appease a lot of the fans of both Naiad and Mind's Eye. It's just really surprising that they went out of their way to, make two summer skins, which also means there are two accessories. So we're gonna get a Mind's Eye accessory and a Naiad accessory. I'm guessing the Naiad accessory will not have a carry animation because it's an A tier accessory, which kind of sucks, but oh well. I don't. Is there anything else? Okay, so as we all know, the other summer accessories are going to be coming back alongside some of the old stuff. So, for example, this if you like paranormal researcher, this is your chance to get it as a lucky guy player. It's also your chance to get the pearl. I don't like the pearl, but hey, if you guys like it, then you can go get it. And this is your chance to get that one uh, antiquarian accessory that a lot of people have missed out on. Next up, let's see. It is the public map. Uh, okay, ooh, Misty Voyage. So I think Misty Voyage is. I'm trying to remember. It's either was one of the anniversary events, or it was Misty Villa. That's what it was. Misty Villa, the map. Hold on. Let me check. I'll check real. Well, okay. Well, I'm not gonna check real quick, but I'm gonna verify if Misty Villa was the one with the ocean. like the big open ocean that's like right next to it. Oh no, it's the one with the landscapes. Okay, so I'm wrong about that. But let me check out Misty Voyage real quick. Misty Voyage. Oh, it's the composer accessory. Voyage of the Past. Oh, so they're making a map based off of the accessory, as well as the anniversary Voyage of the Oceanus, which was the one where the characters won a cruise ship, and if I remember correctly, Mr. Inference was disguising as someone. There was Violetta, there was a doctor and composer and other characters that I don't really give a shit about. But yeah, they're gonna be making an event, a map based off of that event, which is kind of cool. I always like ocean themed areas, so I think this is going to be a really cool map, even though I'm probably not going to interact with it at all because I don't really give a shit about the public maps unless I want to use it for B-roll footage, which like most of the time I really don't. We're also getting this S tier furniture, which is kind of cool, but like for it's furniture, who cares? Early round of applause. We should celebrate. I'm guessing they're talking about the global launch. 8 years, yeah, of course. Felt lost, blah blah blah. And this is going to be the anniversary story. So, uh, okay, let's see what the characters are. But from my guess, Knight, one of these is going to be the S tier that's in the shop. So, taking a guess, I think that okay, Anne. I think this is Feral Lady. This is I think this is Gardner, and this is obviously Knight. So, all right, let's see. Lady Truth, DM, Feral Lady. Okay, there's Feral Lady. So, and they said Lady Truth. So I think my estimation is correct. This is Gardner. This is Feral Lady. This is Anne, and this is Knight. The only question is now, who's getting the S tier that's going to be in the shop? Also, by the way, this is the not to encroach, but this is the yet another Knight skin that we gotten. So Knight players are they're eating, and I don't know if I want them to continue eating anymore. But oh well. All right, let's skip forward. So here's the event. We're gonna get a Weeping Clown beat here, alongside the usual gifts, which is going to be a guaranteed A-tier unlock card, character unlock card, emote, waiting room position, B-tier unlock card, and furniture and the other random stuff. I'm pretty sure people don't give a shit about the other stuff. They just are going to care about the free unlock stuff. I know, so I care about that, even though I kind of fumbled my chances of getting an A-tier unlock card from the last anniversary event because that was when the boycott happened. But yeah, all this other stuff. So the essence, it's going to contain Gardner. I think this is Gardner. Yeah, Gardner, Feral Lady, and Knight. And that means that Anne is actually the free. Oh wait, that's Joseph? Oh, that is Joseph. Oh my god. Oh, oh my god, I forgot that Joseph exists in this game. So, okay, the anniversary contains Joseph, not Knight. Okay. Okay, I'm a little bit happier about that because, Joseph's skin schedule obviously is really scuffed and he needs more skins immediately. But that doesn't mean that Anne is the A tier card. The S tier that's going to be in this. Wait, what? School mistress, costume, bride, costume, disciple. Oh yeah. She is the costume package character. Because for those of you who don't know, or at least are new to IDV, when an anniversary happens, there is always an essence but also a costume package. So you have two ways of getting an S tier skin. The Stormy Night surprise will make its return. The full story, you can obtain the rewards. Okay. So they're bringing back. I think they've been doing this often, where they do bring back story events, so you can reobtain some of the skins that you missed, which is kind of nice. I don't think they bring back the essences. They just bring back the story events, which is kind of cool. But like, it's not something that I really give a shit about. I only care about the main story, so stuff having to do with Game Zero is the only thing that I'm gonna really care about. And now we get to our Logic Pack skin for next season, which is going to be going towards First Officer, which is good. It is good. This is one of the times where a First Officer skin is still unaccessible, because once the Logic Pack season ends, then you won't be able to get it anymore. But hey, another First Officer skin. That's something to be happy about. I won't be complaining. Especially considering, if you actually do look at the skins you can obtain with First Officer, they're very far in between. So any skin to First Officer is good. I would prefer we get a permanent skin at the end of the day, like a more permanent A tier for First Officer, because I'm not gonna lie, all of his other skins are kind of dog shit, and they're either time limited or just limited in general. But hey, it's the thought that counts. I'm excited for it. I like First Officer. I want more watches for when I eventually play Lucky Guy, but only time will tell. Anyways, now we get into the rank treasures. The first accessory is going to be going towards Weeping Clown. That's the S tier one. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of wish it was a hunter accessory. Like, anytime a rank accessory comes out, I always wish that the S tier goes to a hunter, because that means that the hunter is getting a carry animation. It kind of sucks when it's given to a survivor, because not only does that mean we're expecting less effects, but it also means that we're kind of hoping that the effects aren't complete dog shit. For example, the only effects that I can see Weeping Clown having is footsteps, maybe a vault animation. I doubt it though. Rocket effects, obviously. Maybe effects when he's carrying someone, but like, yeah, other than that, I don't really see how he will have any other. Maybe an explosion effect. No, definitely an explosion effect. But like, other than that, I don't really see that much potential in survivor effects as compared to hunter effects, which is why, I kind of wish that the accessory went to a hunter. But oh well. Next up is Painter, who's getting another accessory. Painter already has like 50 accessories, so like, this one is probably gonna get lost in the sauce with the other accessories, but it's there. That's cool. And then finally, we got QS, who's getting his first accessory, which is his second piece of content. I was gonna say first, but no, this is his second piece of content since release. I think. I'm pretty sure. But yeah. Honestly, QS accessories have the potential of being really cool, because not only do you have the actual Q points, not only do you have the lines, but you also have inertia. You have closed areas when you do lock off the Q points. You have the actual Q balls. You have summoning the Q balls, and also, releasing survivors from the Q balls. There's a lot of potential for hunter accessories. So I do think this QS accessory has the potential to be really good, especially with the coloring, black and like teal. At least I hope that's what the colors are going to choose for the accessory. On to the next essence for the next season. We have 3 more characters. All right, I know one of them is Wildling. It's which makes this the next Wildling skin to come out since Bluebeard, actually, which is the S tier skin. That's not a part of the Whimsies event, which was very weird. But oh well. Who are these characters? Uh, ooh, Mechanic. So we have Mechanic. This is Queen Bee, and this is Wily. These are gonna be their next essence after the anniversary essence. So this is gonna be the first piece of Queen Bee. Uh, what's it called? Queen Bee content after her release. And I will say, I do like that skin. I think it's gonna fit really well with the accessory. One of my problems with the accessory is that it doesn't fit normal Queen Bee unless you have the S tier skin. But I do think this skin will also match the essence really well. So, I can't wait for that essence to come out next season. And now we get to the Game Zero essence, where we have three characters. We have, I'm guessing this is Composer. That is Perfumer. I'm guessing this is Perfumer. And this is obviously Patient. So let's see if my guesses are correct. So we have obviously Patient. Yeah, Perfumer. Let me check. Yeah, Composer, Perfumer, and Patient. That's going to be the third essence of the next season. That's going to introduce Game Zero. A exclusive early reveal of the... Okay, so now we can actually talk about Patience's skills, because it seems like they're going to be talking about the actual thing. So he's a chase style hunter, signature skill applying a bleed mark to survivors. Any survivors afflicted with this mark will take bonus damage when struck by his basic attack or dash. Okay, so another dash hunter. Sounds like a character that requires a lot of hands-on action rotation. The skill design seems to be a perfect fit for Emil. Yeah. These will forward to the skill demonstrations, future. So I don't think we're gonna get any gameplay of the Emil, the new skill, but we do know that he has a passive that allows him to apply bleed marks that will grant him bonus damage. I'm guessing that's just gonna be chip damage. Yeah, it's just gonna be chip damage. And keeping some surprises, suspense revealed, summer, essence benefits, 30 free draws this time that are spread out between the three essences. And so, being extremely, extremely generous. So, okay, are these free? Yeah, free. So, they are being extremely generous with the essences and with the content drops. Like extremely generous. I'm guessing, and once again, I just feel like this is because they're just trying to win back the community. Which, okay, to be fair, they really need to try their best to win back the community, because it has been fractured since the AI revealed. So much so that the community has been at each other's throats when this whole debacle came out, when the whole boycott thing came out. So I can understand why they would want to try their best to win over the community, but the problem is they're doing it without actually making a statement, which I feel like, is the one thing that they should be doing, which is making a statement on AI. But hey, what do you know? Like, what can be done about it? So that's it for essences. So now we're gonna be going into actual costume series. World 2026 World Cup. Hermes shoes. Oh wait, hold on. Brand new approaching. Let's see a first look at the brand new Hermes shoes image. So Hermes shoes costume. After 4 waits, the global spectacle of World Cup is smallest again for everyone who joined the game and missed their chance to get the Hermes shoes costume and its accessory. This new commemorative costume is the one you absolutely don't want to miss out on. Okay, so player number 5, which is a skin and accessory. It seems like they're trying to update Hermes shoes by creating a new version for it for forward. Which, like, okay, I'm not gonna lie, it does look really good. Like, okay, go back. All right, shit, I clicked something. Sorry, but it does look good. I like the ball that says champions. I do think the effect is gonna look cool. But I'm not a forward guy, so like the only thing I would really care about is the football. Maybe I'll learn forward when I come back to the game. Anyways, next Whimsy event we have Bonbon. Ah, okay. Why does this look like the Hell Ember skin? I'm sorry, but like it looks so similarly to the Hell Ember skin. It's actually absurd, but it looks cute. They probably say it in there, but it looks cute. It's the combination of, you know, a penguin, which is what Bonbon was based off of, and, you know, the Hell Ember motif. Ooh, once. Oh my god. Oh my god, that fucking X-Boy skin, though. Oh my god. Wait, he's blonde? Okay. Alright, 2 things. First off, the Axe-Boy skin. Axe-Boy 1 skin. So, for those of you who don't know, the 1 series is basically just a series of skins that you know, design the characters if they were never brought to the manor, or at least if the manor never existed, the manor games never existed, and they just lived out their lives. So we first have the X-Boy skin, which it's honestly really jarring because this is probably going to be the first time we see X-Boy without his head, like without something covering his head, or like something replacing his head. But it looks really nice. I actually do really like it. I especially like the fact that they covered his eyes with his hair. It's obviously not going to be completely covered, but yeah, I really dig the Axeboy skin. And also the Seer skin. I think the Seer skin is really nice. I actually really like the goggles being his eye coverings. I also like the white cloak. I think it fits nice and really contrasts the, you know, dark colors of his basic default skin. Yeah, I think these skins are really nice, and I really enjoyed them. Oh, ooh, the Violetta skin. Uh, Other S skin, Nameless Pursuer. Ooh, that's a really nice skin. Now, I will say about Violetta, I'm always kind of hung up on the fact that, you know, they don't make, you know, actual skins that are more spider themed with Violetta, because, you know, it's like, it's a very monstrous design, Violetta, and I feel like that is a potential to make some really cool skins. But I do know people who have arachnophobia, and so I am also thankful that they don't go in that direction, even though, you know, it doesn't fit my personal preference. But, you know, as long as the skins look cool and look nice, then, like, I really have no complaints on these skins. And this is a really nice Violetta skin. I really love it. Knight. So it seems like the Gothic theme is going to be another it's gonna be another series, maybe. But yeah, here's our next Knight skin. Remember when I was talking about Joseph and how I was like, oh, I'm kind of glad Knight didn't get under the skin. Never mind, here it is. Here's the Knight skin. It does look nice. I do like. All right, all things considered, I love the Gothic theme. So I do really love these skins. And last is for Itaqua, or Itaqua. That look, man. If I didn't know any better, I'd say that is a diet S tier skin if I'd seen one. But it does look nice. I do like it. I like the roses. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the gothic theme is always such a fascinating thing to me. So I do like this skin, even though it looks strangely similar to his S tier, his essence one. Next up is BQ for. I'm guessing this is the panda. First hunter. Yeah, the panda series. Uh, it's nice. It's nice. Uh, mm, I don't know. Look, all right, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not the hugest fan of Bloody Queen or care a lot about her skins, but it is nice. It is like the one skin that you know I definitely like more. Maybe it's because of the hat. It's probably the hat. I'm not gonna lie. It's probably because of the hat that I like this one a lot. But yeah, not super interested in Bloody Queen. So I don't really care about this. Another character that I don't care about, entomologist. I know, a very slanderous thing to say, but I really just don't. Okay, why does she look weird? She looks weird like this, doesn't she? I don't know. This doesn't feel right. Anyways, uh, the panda skin looks cute. That's really all I could say. It looks cute. I like how the rod, the net has a little like panda sticking out of it, but like I really don't care about entomologists that much, so I really don't care about this. I also really don't care about the panda series in general, especially since the only character that contributed to the donations for the panda series was, I think, the gardener skin. Like all the other skins, yeah, the gardener skin, because you don't see her anymore right here. So like the other skins don't count towards the donations for the panda series anymore. So I really don't give a shit about the panda series that much. But those are nice skins, and if you guys want to get the skins, please don't, because that's still supporting nitties, and we don't really want that. But they're nice to look at. So that's something. I will say this is your next chance to get the panda pet, the baby panda pet, as well as the other furnitures. So if you really like, whoops. So if you like the panda pet, then I recommend you go buy it. Well, not buy it, but like play the event to get the panda pet, and the furniture. Next up is Wu Ching. Uh, Gothic to Chinese horror. Okay, 15 Underworld Open. Uh, okay, so character day. What is this? What skin is this for? I don't know, but it does look nice. I actually do really like that more than his actual S tier, uh, from the Essence, and I really don't like that. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I don't like the S tier from the Essence, but I think this feels like a more realized version of that, which is really cool. I wish I knew what this came from the. I'm not gonna try and pronouncing that. Costume package. Okay, it's a costume package. So you will be able to get it hopefully for fragments. Hopefully it's not an echoes only thing, because then I would recommend skipping it. Paper Bride crossover. Are we gonna be talking about that? Ivory Tower. Never mind. Ivory Tower. All right. So the next two Ivory Tower skins are going to be for Postman and for Sculptor. Don't care. Well, yep, don't care. Don't do not care about Ivory Tower. I'm sorry for like the 5 people who care about Ivory Tower. Just do not give a shit about it. All right, IDV Esports, SRE, Martha. So SRE was just announced. If I remember correctly, the SRE characters consist of Coordinator, Knight, Enchantress, Prospector. Probably not. I don't remember. So we're gonna be getting. This is her SRE. costume? Is that her default or like the casual outfit? I think it is. There's this here's like esport skin for golden apples. Okay, that's nice. Test server. Okay, I know what the test server is about. It's for the new game mode. Great news, we're willing to wait for the new mode, Cryptid Notes. Test server, June 6th. So that's going to be in the test server tomorrow. Am I gonna play it? I guess I'll play a little bit of it. I don't know. I don't care about. Like, I feel like this, like a game mode like this, is kind of like Lethal Company Repo, where like you kind of need like friends in order to enjoy it, and without it, then it's just gonna feel stale and not feel very fun at all. If you guys want me to play it, I will play it after I upload the Lime video that I will finish at some point. But yeah, this is basically, from what I've gathered, is just like Repo, Lethal Company, uh, like all those other, like, go to an area, loot, and then come back while fighting against monsters that are NPCs. Yeah, that's basically what this game mode essentially boils down to. Uh, so, all Orpheus novels. Okay, they're talking about the Orpheus novels. Uh, what is this about? Just gonna skip forward a little bit. I really don't care. Essence PVs. Yeah, there's cryptic notes. You basically play in a team, and you go around, and you run away from monsters while trying to loot the place, and you're probably leaving. The interesting thing about this mode is that you can play as either survivors or hunters in the game mode and help each other out as both hunters and survivors. 1v4, for example, you can use pallets to block monster attacks and even stun them by slamming pallets, so pallets will still exist on this place. It's the only thing is that you are fighting against robots. You're trying to steal. Oh yeah, and I think people said this, like there's like some AI usage in this event. Uh, Maybe they've changed that by now. I don't know. I really could care less about this, at least until it comes to the base game where I can play this with friends, which I do plan to do. More free rewards. What the hell is this? High quality sword cost like a weapon, so you can get costumes for weapons, and I'm guessing by playing the noon mode you can get like weapon costumes, which I guess is cool. I guess whatever, man. IDV DLC official release. It's coming in June. Test server trial. So I guess like it's coming. I'm gonna guess, like a wild guess, it's either coming next week or in 2 weeks. Q&A, whatever. Balance changes. Okay, this is what I'm most excited about. Shit. Okay, we get to see the balance changes. Okay, this is what I'm most excited about. Let me actually lay down so I can get closer to the screen. All right, Embalmer. That's the first balance change. Coffin can now charge to place a coffin nearby and can be moved while charging. Okay, I'm sure some people don't know what this means because a lot of people suggest like a lot of people think that the IDV team is using AI to like translate for them. I just think it's just bad translations, but basically what they're saying is that now you can hold down the coffin button to place the coffin nearby, and you can move while placing the coffin down. So basically, okay, So basically, what they're saying something similar to Prospector's Magnet, where you can hold it down and then you can throw it. So now you can place the coffin down while moving. You can place the coffin down to any place nearby, and you will still be moving while charging it. I'm guessing once you release the ability button, that's when you'll be stopped in place to put down the coffin. But that does mean that you have some more like control as to where you can place the coffin, which is nice. That is pretty nice. How will this help him in gameplay? We don't know, because we don't know the range of the coffin, or at least how far you can place the coffin from Embalmer, but it's still a nice change nonetheless. Increase the speed boost duration granted from Rebirth from 1 second to 1.4 seconds. That's very self-explanatory. When you get Rebirth from the coffin, you gain a speed boost for 1 second. That's going to be increased to 1.4. Small buff, but it's a decent buff nonetheless. It'll allow you to get to like a window quicker or a pallet quicker, I guess, while you're in your bubble. It's just a nice buff, I guess, and nothing else to say. Optimize coffin placement logic. Coffin can now be placed on slopes. So that pretty much is what it says. You can now place coffin on slopes, which basically means you can place them on stairways. I don't know if you could do that before, but now you can do them on slopes. That's gonna be nice. It's gonna allow you to have a little bit more room. Um, that's gonna give you more room to basically place your coffins down. It's gonna go really nice with the charge buff, where you can charge your coffin now. Uh, Still not the biggest buff, but it's still nice. It's optimization. It's always granted. It's always welcome. The embalmer can now still use the coffin after the embalmed survivor leaves the manor. Okay, that's a really good buff. One of the most like annoying things about the embalmer's coffin is the fact that once a survivor leaves the trial, your coffin is pretty much just gone. So I'm guessing that means that just when a survivor escapes, the coffin is basically just useless and goes away. And if you embalm someone, they escape the game later, you're just stuck with this coffin that's basically useless. Like if they, okay, let me put this in perspective. Let's say you embalm someone while they just went down from the hunter, but the hunter gets distracted, and then they pick themselves up and leave. And now the hunter never encounters them again. And then once the game ends, that survivor ends up leaving, and now your coffin's gone, and there's nothing you can do about it. Those situations are really annoying. So this buff will prevent those from happening. Now, do I think this is a foolproof strategy? No, not really, because we don't know if this extends to when survivors get eliminated. Because that's another time when a coffin's useless, is that when you embalm someone, they decide not to take the coffin, they go after half, and then they get sent back to the manor, and then the coffin becomes useless and disappears, and there's nothing you can do about it. We don't know if that extends to that, but this is a really good buff. Uh, Overall, these buffs are really good. Do we think they're going to fix the problem with Embalmer? No, but let's be honest, Embalmer has always been meant to be that tie character, and I feel like these buffs do help get that tie a little bit better. Uh, yeah, these are fine buffs. I do enjoy them. Next is Batter. I allowed the cricket bat to be replaced with another item when all cricket balls have been used. Okay, that's really interesting. So now, when Batter uses up all his cricket balls, he can just pick up another item. Now, okay, the the implications are kind of weird. Does that mean he can pick up an item, and if the hunter hasn't broken a ball, he can pick that up later, and he just has his cricket back? And if he has the item, Does that mean he can no longer pick up the cricket balls until he gets rid of the item? It's weird. It's really weird. But I do think this is a good buff nonetheless, because this does allow batter to have a lot more versatility with items now. If batter loses all his balls, he's no longer a useless piece of shit who can not do anything anymore. Now he can go to a chest, loot it, get an item. Could be good, could be bad, but he can still use that item. That also means he is another character who can now use the syringe in order to stall out crows, which can be really good, especially in the tournament setting. So, I do think this is a good buff. The implications are really weird, I'm not gonna lie, but I still think this is a good buff, and I definitely can't wait to see how it plays out. Barmaid, excuse me a second, I kind of want to see if I'm still recording. Yes, I am. Okay, back to the actual balance changes. Next up, Barmaid. Increase the tipsy duration caused by drinking Strong Dublin from 19 seconds to 30 seconds. Ooh, massive nerf to Barmaid. Fear is reduced by 25% every 15 seconds that tipsy remains active. Okay, so they reworked the bottle now. So now, instead of you getting a full heal in 19 seconds, they nerf the time to 30 seconds for the full heal, but to compensate for that, while your tipsy is going down after 15 seconds, you will be healed by 25%. So once the 30 seconds pass, you'll get the full heal, but after 15 seconds, you'll get the chip heal. This is both a buff and a nerf depending on the hunter that you're facing up against. If you're going against a chip hunter, then this is just a straight up nerf. Like, let's be real. This is just a straight up nerf, because one chip hit basically removes all the pressure you can do to a heal from Barmaid, and you still have 30 seconds that you have to worry about. So you don't get the full heal anymore from 19 seconds, and against a chip hunter, they could just chip your chip heal off, and then they'll still be able to kill you in one hit. Against a normal hunter, though, this is a pretty decent buff, because after the 25 seconds, which is shorter than 19 seconds, you get healed by 25%, which means a basic hit will not be enough to down you. Since you still have that chip damage left that you need to deal, and on a normal hunter, that's not Joseph, I need to clarify, not Joseph, then I do think this is a buff. But against chip hunters who can deal chip damage and Joseph, this is definitely a nerf. Like a pretty substantial nerf. Pretty interesting rework, I will say. That is a pretty interesting rework, but I do think it is necessary, because Barmaid right now is not the strongest, but she's definitely good. Next up, allows Dublin to be consumed during the hit reaction animation. So basically what this means is that when a survivor gets hit by the hunter, they have this weird animation that they play where they're like taking damage, and during that time you can't really do anything other than interact with obstacles. You can't really use items, you can't really do anything while in that animation. So now, Barmaid can use her drink to cancel that animation, and that basically means she'll be able to get her heal off faster. And during the time when the hunter is in their attack recovery, or doing other things, or when they're still a bit far away from Barmaid, which is definitely good. That's definitely a good change for Barmaid. It'll just allow her to consume her bottle faster and get her heals a bit quicker. Replace Dublin with a non-alcoholic beverage when serving guests under the legal drinking. Oh my god, that is a massive support buff to Barmaid. Basically, what they're doing is they're making it to where Barmaid can now serve underage guests now. They can now serve underage characters now. And their workaround is that when Barmaid serves a guest under the age of 21, which is the legal drinking age in America, now she just serves them a non-alcoholic beverage. So now she can serve characters like Mind's Eye now, and Coordinator, and Cheerleader, and Little Girl. And that is a massive, massive buff to her support game because now she can serve way more characters that are under the legal age. And I'm sure people will not understand why that is such a massive buff. But you need to understand that there are a lot of characters such as coordinators, such as cheerleader, such as, Little Girl, who need to really get back into the fray to help support their teammates when they take damage. But when you're playing as Barmaid, you can't just serve them a Doblin to, heal up over time while they go back into the fray. You need to actually spend time healing them normally, which is a massive hit to your decoding rush. So with this buff, now you can just serve them the Doblin to heal them. Those characters will go back into the fray to either support their teammates, rescue their teammates, or, probably feed their teammates to the hunter in the sense of Little Girl, while you can stay on the decoding time, which is massive. That is a massive buff to her support game alongside all the other changes that they did to Barmaid. Overall, I am really excited for this set of changes to Barmaid, especially the rework to her Doblin. I'm really interested to see how this will play out in the meta because this can either kill Barmaid or this can actually be a massive boom for Barmaid, which I'm really excited for. Thief is next, and when using the flashlight, the radar now display obstacles. So what I'm guessing this means is that when you're playing Thief and you're using his flashlight, now the mini map will appear on the radar, so you can now see when you're about to bump into an obstacle. I think this is an even bigger buff than the original buff they were going to give him, which was they were just zoom his camera back. The camera thing was very disorienting. It was really bad, really disorienting, and didn't really help Thief at all when it came to stopping him from bumping into obstacles. The reason why the radar changes were so good was because it was going to be an unnatural buff to Thief, allowing him to see the obstacles that were coming at him and hopefully allow him to dodge the obstacles, which was why it was a shame when they went back on this change to the radar. But now it seems like they're bringing it back specifically for Thief, which I think is going to help him drastically when it comes to chases. Do I think it's going to make him S tier or even good? No, not really, because he still has to worry about those hunters who can hit you through the walls. But in the cases where you're running out in the open and you need to use your flashlight to ward the hunter off, this is going to be an excellent buff in helping him stop him from bumping into obstacles and allow him to, essentially pull off flawless kites and flawless transitions. So I think this is an amazing buff to Thief. I'm really happy about this buff. Would I want him to get another small buff? Maybe, but I do think this will be more than enough to help him. On to Magician now. After the Magician rescues a survivor from the rocket chair, for the first time, both the Magician and the rescued survivor enter stealth for 2 seconds. So I'm guessing this is going to be a part of his real or fake buff. It used to be a debuff, now it's a buff, and for a buff, I do think this is actually a really, really good buff, in my opinion. Okay, hold on. Let me check the music real quick. See how long it's been. Oh my god, 53 minutes? Dude, I thought that I was going to be done with this by, I don't know, 30 minutes. I didn't think it'd be done. Okay, whatever. Okay, let's get back to this. Okay, so this is really good. It allows Magician to be able to rescue the survivor. It's basically a better version of the buff that they gave to First Officer when rescuing survivors. Here's the thing. 2 seconds of the hunter not being able to see where the survivors is massive. It is straight up massive because it blocks both you as the Magician and the rescued survivor. So when the hunter sees 2 footprint tracks running in opposite directions, the hunter doesn't know who is who. The hunter kind of has to guess. Now, if they have extremely good hearing, then I'm sure that's not going to be a problem. But if you have stuff like Companion Effect and Savior Complex on top of this, then you two can just speed boost away from each other, and the hunter has to now guess who is running in which direction. It's only for the first survivor, thankfully, because If it's both the, uh, if it's for any rescue, then I think that'd be completely busted. But I do think this is really good because I do think this is cementing Magician into more of a rescuer hybrid than his earlier stages of the game, which I do like because I actually do think Magician is a fairly underrated rescuer with his wands, with sneak, with all that other stuff. So I do think giving him an ability that makes his rescue a bit stronger is a really good way to push Magician now. Since now I feel like there's really no way to buff his actual kiting game without making him too broken. So yeah, I do like this. Uh Explorer. Increase the duration of footprints from 1 second to 2 seconds. Increase the duration reduction. So I think they're doing this to compensate for a nerf they did, an unintentional nerf, but still a nerf that they did to Explorer. For those of you who don't know, back in the day, Airwalk used to give you 2 seconds of time where footprints would disappear faster. And with Explorer's passive buff, it meant that his footprints would disappear 3 seconds faster, which was really good. It made it useful on Explorer only, but it still made it really good on other decoders such as Mind's Eye, which we see she's getting a buff similar to this later. Explorer, Lawyer, any res decoder because it just allows you to sneak away from the hunter a bit faster. However, when they updated Airwalk, they actually nerfed it. So now it is just a flat 1 second duration. So now Explorer has 2 seconds of footprints instead of the 1 second that he would get from the old Airwalk, which was a pretty big nerf. Not that big of a nerf, but still a pretty big nerf. So with this buff, his actual footprints duration goes back to 1 second now instead of the usual 2 seconds that you would get from both Airwalk and Explorer, which I think is a pretty good buff, reverting his footprint. It's just a good reversion. Do I think Explorer needed a buff? No, not really, but oh well, what can you do? What the? Okay, now we get into the next, which is so funny. When injured, the Explorer no longer generates additional injury traces. So they're basically giving him Airwalk a base kit. Because that's basically what Airwalk does. It reduces the footprint duration by 1 second. They added an additional second to his Airwalk time from 1 second to 2 seconds. And they also remove the additional injury traces that Explorer gives when injured, which is what was also given to Airwalk when they reworked him. So now Explorer just has base kit Airwalk. And if you apply Airwalk onto that, it's back to the 3 seconds without the injure traces. Once again, I honestly do not think Explorer needed a buff in any sense of the imagination, but I still think this is a pretty massive buff to Explorer without, making his decoding too overpowered. I do think this will make him pretty good at sneaking away from the hunters more effectively, which will definitely be a big boon for Explorer, especially considering the fact that he doesn't have a lot of maps that he's good on. But I'm still cautiously optimistic about this because, like I said, I don't like the fact that Explorer is still getting buffs even though he's not that bad on the meta. Fire Investigator, and I'm guessing this is going to be the same thing as Batter, and from the looks of it, it seems to be the case. Allows the inflatable to be replaced with another. Allows the airbags to be replaced with another item when all airbags have been used. So basically, same thing with Batter. When Fire Investigator uses all of his airbags, he can now replace his item with a new one from the chest. Now, I'm kind of on the fence of this because the whole skill ceiling of the airbags is the fact that you kind of need to use them wisely. You can't spam them willy-nilly. And once they're gone for good. and your whole strength is reliant on how well you use them. So once they're all used up, you're basically useless. And I understand that that's the point. They're trying to avoid the situation where Fire Investigator is useless, but I kind of like the fact that he was when he used up his airbags. It's the same thing with Batter. These are resources that you're trying to save for as long as possible and use them at the opportune time. And if you waste them, then obviously you waste them. And obviously you should be fucked over because you've used them very willingly. Like used them very graciously. And you should be fucked over for doing that. But now you don't get rewarded for wasting your items, but now the punishment for using all your items isn't that severe. And it doesn't really sit well with me because I kind of like characters who don't do everything at the same time, who don't have downsides to them. I liked it when characters like Batter kind of are useless after they've used up their items. But once again, we kind of have to wait and see. It might not be that bad, but I'm still kind of am. It's more so towards Fire Investigator because he's a character that I really, really am proud of when it comes to playing him. But we'll have to wait and see. Prevented the airbag from pushing survivors away during inflation and expansion. Okay, this might be because of the Asia games, where that one survivor, I think it was Aeroplanus, who was trying to exit through the exit gates, but then he got pushed away when Fire Investigator pushed him. That was actually a really funny clip. But yeah, basically what they're saying is that now survivors do not get pushed back when the airbag's inflating now. It'll just be the hunter. I think that'll be a good buff because it'll allow you to not be pushed away from the airbag and it'll allow you to essentially be in position to be pushed away by the airbag, which is it's a nice buff. Once again, kinda removes the skill ceiling of Fire Investigator because the point of the pushback is to be a kind of a punishment, in my opinion. So them removing it kind of sours me, but oh well, it's a decent buff nonetheless. I'm not too much of a fan of the Fire Investigator changes, but I do think these are nice buffs. And I think a lot of Fire Investigator players are going to really enjoy them. And then finally, Mind's Eye. Same thing as Explorer. Her external trait now gives her 1 second of faster footprints, which will be nice. It'll allow her to keep her distance from the hunter. It'll pair well with Airwalk. And it'll make her a bit more stealthy, which is nice. Oh my god, there are more. There are more. Oh my god, okay. And that's not even, oh my god, okay. I probably should have just made this video about the changes and not about the fucking reveal show. I'm such an idiot. I should have checked into that. Okay, give me a second. I'm gonna take a very quick break. Give me 1 second. All right. I'm back. Okay, let me check to see if this is actually looking. No, okay, I messed things up. Okay. Wait. Okay. Okay. Okay, now it's looking normal. Okay, so we're back. I restarted the music because I realized I'm gonna be here for a lot longer than I thought it was. So let's continue. All right, next change goes to Composer. So they adjusted his tuning fork. After Composer strikes the tuning fork, melody calibrations trigger over the past 20 seconds for a total of 24 calibrations, 3 of which are randomly selected noise calibrations. The effect ends after 5 successful calibrations. When noise calibrations is completely successful, it creates a larger tuning fork for 1 second. The teammates within the zone gain a 50% speed boost. So, what I'm gathering from this is they're reworking the tuning fork. So now, instead of it being 5 seconds, or at least 5 calibrations that you need to hit in a row. Now it'll last for 20 seconds. You will gain 25 calibrations, 3 of which are randomly selected as noise calibrations. I'm guessing that means either that means that you need to fucking do the stupid ass like uh Guitar Hero minigame, or that means that you're going to get normal calibrations for the tuning fork, and then some of them will be the unique calibrations that Composer has. The effects ends early after 5 successful calibration hits, which kind of lines up with the Composer's normal ability, which is only just 5 calibrations that he needs to hit in a row. And when noise calibration is completed successfully, it creates a larger tuning fork for 1 second, and teammates within that zone will gain a 50% speed boost. So what that means is that Composer will have his normal ass speed boost, and once the 5th calibration is hit, or no, when a noise calibration, because okay, I'm kind of understanding how this works. So like, you gain multiple calibrations. One of the you will get 3 random noise calibration things, which is, we don't know what that is yet. But when you hit those noise calibrations, a giant area will surround you. I don't know how big that area is, but anyone within that radius will gain a 1 second 50% speed boost. Other than that, all the calibrations you hit on your own will be speed boosts directed towards yourself, similar to his normal ability. So this basically means that you will essentially, unless you're dog shit and you miss all of the calibration hits, you will never lose out on those 5 seconds of speed boost that you would get from the calibrations. I think this is a good rework. I think this is a really good rework. It not only incentivizes you hitting all 5 of those calibrations and thus getting your long speed boost, but this also means you can now play Composer in a bit more of a support angle. Now, are you going to go out of your way to do that? No, obviously not, because, the hunter's going to go and fuck your ass if you try to help in any way. But it will be helpful for your harassers. It will be helpful for, characters trying to come in to help you. It will be a bit helpful, which is nice. And being able to have a consistent 5-second speed boost with Composer, choosing when you want the speed boost to activate, I think that's going to be really nice. So I think this is a good rework. Next, reduce the delay before the first melody calibration appears after using the item. So I'm guessing when you first hit the item, you gain a 1 second speed boost, and then there's a little delay that happens before the actual calibrations happen. They are reducing that, so you will get consistent speed boost calibrations, or at least they will appear much faster. Once again, another good buff. It means you're not going to be hung out for dry after the first speed boost. This is just quality of life, though. It's just nice. Overall, I'm really excited for the Composer rework. I'm actually really liking what they're doing with some of these characters. I like how we are getting actual reworks to some of these characters and how they work, instead of just, oh, we're just buffing this one thing. Oh, we're just buffing this one thing. I do like that they're actually going out of their way to actually rework some characters, such as Magician, making him a bit more of a rescuer, such as Batter and Fire Investigator, even though I'm not the biggest fan of them being able to pick up items, but still, it's still a good change. Barmaid with how her drinks work, Embalmer with how he places coffins, Thief with how his flashlight works, and now with Composer with how his tuning fork works. I think these are really nice ways of changing the characters that are just not stat buffs, and they make me more excited for these set of balance changes than I am for any other ones. So yeah, and the fact that we're getting so many of them, like, holy shit, let me count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 28 balance changes alongside talent adjustments. Like, dude, this is going to be one of the biggest balance changes cycles ever, and it is with character reworks, like actual character reworks. That is so exciting. Oh my god, and it makes me regret actually talking about all this fucking bullshit of shit that I do not give a shit about. Because this is the exciting shit. Actual character changes, actual meta shakeups. Anyways, let's continue. So Prospector, we're actually getting a before and after. So now, okay, give me a second. Before, uh, when another survivor is within 15.2 meters of the Prospector, attracting them reduces the hunter stun duration by 32%. When another survivor is within 18 meters of the hunter, attracting them reduces the hunter stun by 38%. So this is going to be a nerf to Prospector's support game. So back then, if the survivors are in the shorter range of Prospector, then pulling a hunter to stun them would be reduced by 32%. But now they increase the range of it and also reduce the stun time. I think this is a decent nerf to Prospector. Do I think this is going to be coming into play often? No, I don't really think so. But I do think this will be a good way of, hurting Prospector and making his nerf, or at least his stun, a lot less painful when dealing with him in a support situation. Especially when you combine it with stuff like Desperate Fight, Addiction, and Rage. So yeah, I do think this is going to be a decent nerf. That won't kill him. I need to specify. That won't kill him. Night. Added a new effect to Shiver Sympathy. After rescuing a survivor, decoding speed increases by 10% up to 20%. Okay, so this is incentivizing you. By the way, I need to charge this computer for a second. Okay, give me like 1 second. Let me pause the music, and then let me pause the recording. Okay. Now we bring back the music. I don't even know if the music was playing on the recording. Should probably check. Is it? Okay, it is playing. Alright, cool. And now we go back to the reveal show. We go back to OBS. Okay, it's working. Okay, so back to Shiver Sympathy. They're essentially they're basically giving the first officer buff to Knight now. So basically, for those of you who don't know, first officer has this buff where if you use a watch, then he gains, decoding time, like 8% decoding buff up to, is it 9 or 8? Let me check. Watch, 7% up to 14%. Knight is gonna get that same buff, but for Chivalrous Sympathy, he's not getting Under Shield when he uses Chivalrous Sympathy, but he will be gaining an 10% buff to his decoding speed when he uses it up to 20%. So that means after the first Chivalrous Sympathy, he will have a 10% decoding debuff instead of the 20% he would have. And then using it again for rescues means that he will have no decoding debuff when he rescues after the rescue. This is a pretty massive buff to him, mainly because it allows him to be a bigger threat as a rescuer, since now he will have way less decoding debuff to worry about. I don't think this is going to really help that much, though, simply because you don't want to use Chivalrous Sympathy for the first rescue if you're running Tide. If you're not running Tide, then I do think that, this will be a pretty decent buff for Knight. But if you're running Tide, you want to use Tide first and then Chivalrous, so you're still going to have that 20% decoding debuff. So I don't think this will help that much for Tide Knights. But for for Knights who are running, kiting abilities, then I do think this will be a decent buff. I don't think this will fix his issues, but I do think this will help tremendously. Next is Doctor. And by the way, I don't really have that much to say about Knight, so I'm just gonna move past them. Medley. With 1, 2, and 3, and 4 doctors, healing speeds is changed from 30%, 20%, 10%, and 5%, while self-healing speeds with a syringe is increased by 20%. Each successful heal, each successful self-heal reduces self-heal speed by 5% to a minimum of 50%. Okay, so first off, they are nerfing uh they're actually nerfing Doctor's heal speed, which is interesting. Her base heal speed from 40% to 30%, which is, you know, absurd. But yeah, the healing speeds while also increasing the syringe self heal speed. But now with each successful heal, your healing speed gets nerfed. Your self healing speed. So what they're doing is they're basically just like toning down Doctor Self Heal from Syringe, and it's for a good reason. It's because of the boosters. Boosters make Doctor very annoying to face off against. So I do understand why they would add this part. But I do think this has the potential to really kill Doctor in the meta, especially since she just got in. But honestly, fuck Doctor. I think everyone will just say fuck Doctor. No one cares about Doctor. Uh, if this kills her, then good riddance. But yeah, that's gonna be really interesting. They're killing her base healing speed, and they're also just killing her syringe self healing speed. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. I don't know what to feel about the Doctor changes, but I am looking forward to see how they play out. Hopefully Doctor's found dead in a ditch, because no one likes this fucking character. She's annoying. So, yeah, good riddance. Archer, she's getting nerfed. Her cooldowns are getting increased. This is one of those, like, boring, like, balance changes things that I was talking about, where it's just stat changes. This will make her slightly weaker. Who cares? Knight, remove the hunter interaction speed Remove the hunter interaction speed reduction when Muleta attracts the hunter, while Matador is the only nearby survivor being chased. So basically, they are removing the debuff that Muleta gives to the hunter's interaction speeds when they're breaking a pallet when he uses Guyonetta Pass. When no one's nearby and it's just Matador, the debuff used to be 10%. They are getting rid of that, which is a decent buff because Guy Under the Pass is basically just like a free stun, especially if you're chasing against a certain survivor. It has a chance to really fuck you over as survivors. So I mean, as Hunter. So yeah, removing that is no one's gonna cry about this. Increase Matador's movement speed reduction from 10% to 15% for 1.5 seconds when the hunter attacks within 6 meters. This is not going to do anything. I'm just going to be straight up with you. I don't know what that clicking is from. Oh, it's from the mouse. Let me get rid of it. There we go. Let me get rid of that thing because I'm not going to use that. I'm not going to use my mouse right now. Basically, this is not going to do anything because everyone knows this. Muleta covers the range of the debuff, so you're probably not going to see this debuff happen, especially since it's not going to be that helpful. But it is a massive debuff. Don't get me wrong, 50% for 1.5 seconds when the hunter is attacking within 6 meters, that's insane value. Wait, within a survivor? Within 60 meters of a survivor? Let me check. Hold on. Oh my god, hold on. So, this... Okay, wait, hold on. This might actually change the debuff. So, when he attacks with... if it's a survivor, this might go from being one of the most useless debuffs to a mildly annoying debuff. Because 50% slowdown is painful to deal with. If this is still just Matador, this is still a useless debuff. If it's for any survivor, then this will just be an annoying debuff for Matador's Go to just deal with. So that will be a better change for it. Overall, I do think these were not nerfs that Matador needed, because let's be honest, these are not going to hurt his strengths, but you know, they're still nerfing him. It's the thought that counts. I enjoy that. Okay, why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? Okay, I know why they're doing this. It's because of the games where the survivors would comp tech, go down in a corner, and then there's a gardener who would just break the chairs, and then it would just be annoying for the hunter to deal with. This is still not going to change the situations, though. I'm going to tell you that much. It really isn't. I don't see why this is getting nerfed, the toolbox cooldown, but hey, it's a nerf. What can you do about it? Gamekeeper. Oh, baby. Reduces the cooldown from 14 seconds to 13 seconds, a 1 second cooldown decrease. That's going to feel nice. Not that big, but that's definitely going to feel nice. Added effect that pulls other survivors towards Gamekeeper if they are within a small area around a survivor hit by. Ooh. Okay, so they're reworking the hook. It seems that now, if. Oh my god. Okay, wait. They killed body blocking. Oh my god. They killed body blocking with Gamekeeper. Because back then, if you're being chased, but there's a teammate that's right next to you, you could just body block for that teammate, and then they would get pulled, but you would stay safe. So that means Gamekeeper couldn't, pull you. Gamekeeper couldn't aim for the survivor that they want. Now you can't do that anymore. You can't do that. You need to actually be a bit of distance away from the survivor in order to body block for them. But that also means that Gamekeeper can just hook an obstacle to get closer to the survivor and hook them that way. But yeah, they just essentially killed body blocking with this buff. Because now, if a survivor gets hit by a hook and there's another survivor nearby, you also get pulled to the Gamekeeper. Now, does this also apply the mark and the chip damage? We have yet to see. If that is the case, then yeah, they have completely eradicated full-on body blocking, which is going to be massive. Ooh, this is also extremely massive, but for survivors. Allowed survivors pulled by chain hook in certain locations where they cannot move freely to briefly ignore collision with the Gamekeeper. So, I'm sure a lot of people know that there are a lot of bullshit areas that you can get hooked on. We've seen them in tournaments. We've seen them, happen in certain situations. It's always bullshit when it happens. You essentially get stuck and there's no way out. So this fixes those problems, because now when you get hooked into one of these bullshit spots, you can now free yourself, which is going to be massive. Absolutely massive for the survivors. It's going to suck balls for the Gamekeeper, but hey, fuck them. If they're going to be using that strat, then yeah, fuck them. Overall, I am really happy with these changes. These are really exciting changes. I really love the collision thing. I love that body blocking will almost be dead for against Gamekeeper. It's just going to be really exciting. I love Gamekeeper, and I'm happy he's getting a little bit of love. This isn't going to be enough to make him broken, but this will make him really good. Clerk. All right, let's see these changes, because Clerk is a really interesting hunter, because Clerk is a noob stomper. Let's be real. Like, when you start out the game, Clerk's gonna absolutely kick your ass, or kick the asses of teams that don't know how to deal with her, but when you go against a team who does know how to deal with her, then she's completely worthless. So I'm interested to see how they changed her. Added the external trait, Just Verdict. When a survivor is nearby, verdict points increase over time. The more survivors there are, the faster verdict points charge. Once fully charged, the Clerk enters verdict straight. Verdict state. Increasing movement speed and basic attack recovery speed by 10% for 10 seconds. This state ends immediately after a hit. An attack hits the survivor. Okay, it's kind of funny because you can kind of tell what this is meant to counter, which is harassment. For those of you who don't know, harassment is basically the one thing Clerk cannot contest against. It is the one thing that Clerk kind of gets fucked over about. So, you know, you can kind of see where the whole, like, more survivors charge it up can come from. Do I think this will help Clerk when it comes to dealing with this stuff? Maybe. I will say, when combined with stuff like Impulsive, I do think this will grant you very crazy speeds, because I think Clerk is one of the hunters who has the most movement speed in the game right now. She used to be tied with Goatman before he got his nerfs, but yeah, I think this will be interesting buff to Clark. I don't think this will fix. It might fix a lot of the issues, because like a lot of the issues she stems from comes from the fact that she gets like kited hard when a survivor knows what they're doing. So cutting down on the time will be really helpful. And if she's able to catch up with survivors, it means that they will be forced to drop down more pallets, which means she'll get more scrolls, which means she'll be able to, outplay certain survivors. And I think that will be an interesting buff, and I think that will definitely help her. Uh, for how much they'll help her, we'll have to wait and see, but nevertheless, decent buff. Reduce the non-interaction duration after the survivor has been eliminated from 9 seconds into 7 seconds. Reduce the non-interaction duration. Okay. I'm guessing this means to her, yeah, invalid. So I'm guessing now invalid gets nerfed from 9 seconds of a obstacle not being vaulted or dropped or anything like that when interacted with, from 9 seconds to 7 seconds after survivors have been eliminated. So they're basically just nerfing her when the elimination happens. Kind of similar to, I'm trying to like think of someone. QS. I think, yeah, QS. QS has that same thing where if a survivor gets eliminated, then the decoding progress that is removed gets nerfed. Um, um, that's a pretty interesting nerf. I will say this, like the invalid thing, is pretty annoying. So as a survivor, I do kind of like this, but does Clerk really need a nerf? I don't think so. In my opinion, I don't think so. Uh, this definitely won't be enough to help Clerk, especially with her greatest weaknesses. Especially since, like, I still think harassers are going to be annoying to deal with, because this doesn't help against stun time. Against Cowboy, especially with his buff, he's going to be way more annoying for Clerk to deal with. So I don't think this will help, but it'll be nice. That's really all I can say. It'll be nice, and I feel like this is an unjustified nerf. I'll be honest, I was expecting a bit more with Clerk. It gave us an interesting buff, but I just feel like this won't help her in the long run, which is kind of a shame. Violetta added a remaining duration indicator at the bottom of the screen when cobweb acceleration is active. So basically what they're saying is that now, alongside of the buff duration that will appear in the top left screen, there will now be one at the bottom of her screen that will basically tell her how long her duration will last, her speed boost duration, and will tell her when will it end. Which is a decent quality of life. That's all it is, quality of life. It's good. Nothing more to say. Increase the hitbox size of entanglement. The same thing. It's a quality of life buff. I'm guessing this is the string shot that she spits out. Let me check real quick. Entanglement. Entangled. No. This is the webs, I'm guessing. Webbing. Yeah, webbing. I'm guessing that's just the webbing. Yeah. Be nice. I guess there's not much I can say about that's it's fine. Finally, added a stun recovery speed increase from 510 to 20 when gaining 1, 2, and 3 stacks of acceleration. And I'm guessing this also applies to stuns from the survivors. Interesting buff. I do think stuns are the worst thing that Violetta has to deal with because she has a really long stun duration. I think it is less than Mad Eyes. Yeah, less than Mad Eyes, but it's still pretty long. So I do think this will help with that. Other than that, these buffs don't really do anything for Violetta. They don't cover her main weakness, which is that she has to wait a long time to generate her webs. The survivors can just transition away from her webs. They don't really fix that. So I still think Violetta's not going to be that amazing, but I do think she'll be a bit better now. Sculptor. Reduce the movement speed penalty from 6 seconds to 6% to 3% when Sculptor uses Agility or Sculpture of Wisdom with a charged attack. Okay. I don't know what this means. Let me check this real quick. Sculptor of Wisdom's Sculptor of... Okay. So I'm guessing... I'm guessing at some point they nerf Sculptor to where when she's using one of her normal statues and she uses a charged attack, then she gain a movement speed penalty. I don't know why they did that. I'm not gonna lie. I really don't. But yeah, they're basically reducing it. That's fine. Wait, no. Maybe. Okay, no. I'm probably stupid. I'm guessing what they're saying is that when you're holding the the statue button to aim your statues, that's the decrease that you got, the speed penalty, which is 6%, and they're reducing it to 3%. Which, in that case, that's a fine buff. But once again, it's weird. It doesn't really do much for Sculptor, so we're just gonna ignore that. Reduce recovery time after hitting a target with normal attack. So they're basically buffing her attack recovery, which is strange. You never really see them actually buff the attack recovery. So now, instead of 4 seconds of attack recovery, it's now going to be 3.7 seconds, which is decent. She'll have less attack recovery from a lot of the hunters in the game, but overall, it's still not gonna be. It's weird. It'll only help her when she has attack recovery buffs, such as Berserker, such as Overwhelm. But other than that, it's not really gonna help her too dramatically. And it's just weird in general giving her an attack recovery buff. But oh well, we'll see. And finally, optimize hit direction. Optimize hit detection for attacks. So basically, that just means that her hit detection has been changed, which, once again, it's fine. It's a quality of life. It's an optimization. But similar to Violetta, I don't think these buffs will help Sculptor all that much. I think the Sculptor means will be happy, though, especially with the attack buff, the attack recovery buff, as well as the movement speed penalty buff. But other than that, I don't think this will be all that helpful to Sculptor. And she'll basically stay the same. Next up is Joseph. Reduce the normal attack windup from 0.5 to 0.4. So basically he attacks a bit faster now, which will definitely be helpful. How helpful, I'm not sure, but it'll definitely make him a bit more lethal to go against. I don't know. It's just not that helpful. Similar to Violetta, it's just good. It's a good feeling buff, but other than that, it's not really gonna help him in chase. Allows attack to be used during the recovery delay when recalling during time jump. So basically, when he uses card trick, during the recovery animation, when he throws his card up and he teleports back, he can attack during that time, which is a decent buff, especially when you actually protect right and you're right next to the survivor. It's really annoying when you surprise the survivor by being on top of them, but then you're in the animation, so it gives them the chance to either use their item, speed boost away using a pallet or a window, drop a pallet, drop a window. It That kind of stuff is pretty annoying, especially when it comes to them using their items. So this will definitely help with that. Overall, standard buffs. Nothing too interesting to talk about though, so we'll just move on. Naiad. Reduce surging tides cooldown from 40 seconds to 30. Yes! More Naiad buffs! This is what we're talking about! Yes! 50 Naiad buffs! This one does make sense though. And basically what they're saying is that when you're not in Slipstream, but you use the dash to go into Slipstream, they're reducing the cooldown from 40 seconds to 30 seconds, 34 seconds, which is nice. It'll be nice. It's not a massive buff, but hey, I don't think it warrants such a massive buff for something like this. But yeah, it'll be nice, and it doesn't really help change the game for Naiad and her gameplay, so I'm okay with this. Fewest. Oh my god, they are obliterating his Cypher Machine control when someone gets eliminated. Going from 12% to 9%, that is a massive nerf. So basically, you can no longer control the game anymore once a survivor has been eliminated. Damn. This sucks to suck, I guess. Next is cue balls. Reduce the cue ball duration from 16% to 11 seconds and lowers kinetic energy consumption while moving near rocket chairs. Overall duration remains unchanged. So the cooldown, no, the duration is just nerfed in general, and then energy consumption is lowered when near a rocket chair. So I'm guessing that just means that they buff the consumption when next to a rocket chair, but that's only to compensate for the fact that they just gave cue ball a duration nerf. Uh, these are fine. I don't like cue ball, so I think this is going to be a good nerf. Is this the best nerf they can do? No. Mainly because of the fact that, you could just place a cue ball down on a connection and then you make another connection to essentially fuck over a survivor still. But in terms of camping or like cipher pressure, this will be a good buff or good nerf to QS. Reduce inertia's duration per injured survivor from 2.5 to 2.1. So that means instead of, let's say, 4 survivors, 2.5, so that's 20. I'm doing this fucking math in my head. God damn. Give me a second. So, to the 2.5, that's like 4 survivors. That would be 8.2 seconds of duration time for QS to be in. Oh, wait, nope. I'm wrong. 10 seconds. So instead of 10 seconds, it'll now be 8.4 seconds, which is a massive nerf to inertia. Not that big of a nerf, not gonna lie, but it's still a pretty big nerf to inertia. Overall, I think QS got slaughtered. He got shot back in the streets, found dead in Denny's, but that's mainly because of the reduced cipher regression thing, as well as the cue ball nerf. Like, I do think those are the biggest nerfs they gave to QS, and I do think he's going to be no longer that slowdown monster that he used to be anymore. Dentist! Now, I didn't play Dentist, I'm not gonna lie. I have not been playing Dentist, mainly because I haven't been playing IDV. But he seems very clunky to me. But let's see. I do think that he does need to get toned down. I do think he had the potential to be broken. So let's see what they nerfed. Reduce lens duration from 10 seconds to 9 seconds. So lens lasts a little bit less time, which is okay. Increased lens charge time from 13 seconds to 14 seconds. So basically, you gain less lenses, mainly because they recharge a bit slower, like 1 second slower. Obviously, it's not gonna impact you at the early game, but once more time goes on, it'll impact you way harder and harder. So yeah, decent but small nerf again. Increase Dark Mire's recovery delay by 0.5 seconds. So basically, that recovery animation that Dentist does when he's trying to teleport is increased, so it'll take him a bit longer to act when he's teleporting. Small nerf, but still impactful. Again, prevents viral symbiosis from being increased to 1.5 second times. Ooh, ouch. So basically, what they're saying is that now Dentist's chip hits work similar to all the other chip hits in the game. So now he cannot use the chip hit to deal 1.5 damage when using detention. Now it'll be 0.5 like before, which is a massive, massive nerf to viral symbiosis. And I think this is the biggest nerf that he gotten from this set of balance changes. I still think he's going to be strong, but I don't know because I don't play this character. I don't have the foresight to judge how strong this character is. When I do, I will tell you how strong he is. But from what I've seen, he looks a lot clunky to play, and the one good thing was the fact that detention worked on the viral symbiosis, but it will not work anymore. So he will be a lot weaker than he was in the test server and how he is now. Is it deserved? Probably. Queen Bee. Reduce the energy gain in predatory state from swarm of insects after contact with a survivor from 12 to 10, and reduce assimilation movement bonus from 13 to 12%. So they basically nerfed the speed boost that you gain again when you rub your bees all over a survivor, and the energy gain you gain is nerfed again. Uh, okay. Small nerf. Again, small nerf. Doesn't fix the problem of Queen Bee, which is the fact that you can sit on a shared survivor with 100 energy and just, stuff a rescuer. Doesn't change the fact that she's clunky otherwise, but it's a small nerf. I think it'll come in handy, especially for survivors who are trying to deal with her. But that's really it. Ivy. Increase corruption transference cooldown from 4.3 to 4.7. No, 43 to 47. Let me check again. I think that is when she uses the yeek to leech onto a survivor. 38. No, 47. I think that it is. I think it is the leech timer when she leeches yeek onto. No, wait. No, it's the Biden blast, the Dorito blast. So basically, what this means is that when she teleports to a corruption thing and she uses the Dorito blast, now instead of it having a 33-second cooldown, it will now be on a 43-second cooldown. It'll be on a 47-second cooldown. Small nerf. I think. Okay, it's kind of disappointing that I'm saying small nerf, small buff, small change for a lot of these hunters that are not Clark with her interesting change and Gamekeeper with his massive change to his hook. But yeah, it's a small nerf to her. Reduce the corruption Ostracons, the Doritos, maximum duration from 60 seconds to 50 seconds after the survivor has been eliminated or the exit gates have been powered. So they basically nerfed it again. Now they won't last as long in the end game or if a survivor's been eliminated. Uh, that's really it. Okay, I found out what happened. Okay, I didn't. Okay, thank God the recording was going on. I was. Oh fuck! Oh my God, that's so loud. But yeah, I was afraid of like losing a lot of footage. Turned out that wasn't the case. Thankfully. Anyways, let's get back to the recording. Anyways, I was saying small nerf to IV. Not really much to say. Let's move on to Nightmare, which is actually going to be a massive buff to Nightmare, kind of. So now, when he marks a survivor with the crow, they will now get a movement speed reduction by 3%. Very small, I am aware, but this does mean that Nightmare's crow will be a bit more helpful in chase, and it will incentivize him to use crow on the survivor he's chasing to get that movement speed penalty, which will mean it'll give him a lot more distance to be able to close in the gap to use his dash, alongside of the 10% debuff to his vaulting speeds or interact speeds in general. So yeah, pretty decent buff to Nightmare. Like I said, small buff though, so not that interesting. Violinist. Reduce the movement speed penalty when charging Sonata from 6% to 3%. So same thing with Sculptor when she's holding her statues. When Violinist is holding his notes, the movement speed decrease will be lessened to 3%. Fine, not fine, buff, I guess. But yeah, not that big. Disappointing, especially to Violinist, who desperately needs a buff. Finally, Goatman. I think that's the last one. Yep, last one. Reduce his initial resentment by 10%. So they're nerfing his resentment again. So now instead of initial resentment of like, I think, I don't remember, like 30 something, it'll now be like 20 something. So yeah, massive early game nerf to Goatman. And also reduce maximum resentment from 110 to 100 and 100 just flat. So now that means he can't build up as much resentment anymore. Uh, what's the small nerf? Because I thought this would mean that you couldn't make 3 cages, but you couldn't originally with the initial resentment. So all this will do is just make it to where building up energy will be a bit more annoying. Because with 110, you could at least have like a bit less time to have to regenerate energy before making a third cage. Now it'll take a bit more time for that third cage to come out. So yeah, small nerf once again, but ultimately I think Goatman has just been completely gutted from the Aether. Will he still be broken? Or will he still be good? Maybe. I think he'll still be good because his main strengths are still there, but he's definitely not the powerhouse that he used to be. Oh wait, hold on. I was talking about Explorer before, but actually, there's a new talent. Okay, so now we're getting into the talent changes. This is also pretty interesting. So first off, Prisoner Dilemma has been removed. So for those of you who don't know what Prisoner Dilemma is, let me go to Survivors. Basically, it made it to where if the hunter is ballooning to Survivor, you can see both the ballooned Survivor and the hunter for 5 seconds. This was only really useful for harassers, but even then, it wasn't really that useful because if you're harassing, then you'd see where the survivor is going. So, not that useful. So they're removing Prisoner's Dilemma and replacing it with a new talent. We don't know what the name is, but we know they're replacing it. After decoding a cipher machine, movement speed is increased by 25% for 4 seconds and can block most hunter attacks one at once during that time. So basically, once you've decoded a cipher, you gain a movement speed boost and a shield that can block hunter attacks. Now, okay, I think I know why this was added. This was added in those situations where the hunter and the survivors are camping the last cipher, and the final survivor pops the cipher. It's basically a game of chicken. If the hunter waits it out, then they can just pop the cipher, and then that leads them getting a free hit and getting down with detention. It's really hard to explain, but I'm sure you've all have dealt with that before. Let me check to see if my recording's still going. Okay, yes, it is. Or in the cases where you just run to a cipher, you pop it, but then you still go down anyways. This basically means that you can use the trait a lot more actively now, or at least a lot more offensively without the risk of going down. Since 4 seconds is a lot of time to have a speed boost and a shield. So yeah, uh, decent, like very interesting talent replacement for Prisoner's Dilemma. Uh, would I run this? It depends. It really depends. Maybe not. But when it comes to the using it more offensively to pop a cipher that the hunter's guarding, or using it to transition from cipher to cipher to essentially cipher rush a bit more, I do think this will be a very interesting talent to deal with. Airwalk. This was the interesting thing. So I thought that they would be buffing the survivors to coincide with Airwalk. No, they're buffing the survivors to have the Airwalk effect because they're removing Airwalk and replacing it with a new talent. This new talent increases the healing speeds of injured survivors by 10%. If the healing is interrupted, 50% of recovered progress will continue to increase by 2% per second. The effect ends once the heal is completed. So, what this new talent means is that, let me read this again. Increases the healing speed of injured survivors by 10%. So you gain a 10% healing speed increase. If the healing is interrupted, 50% of the recovered progress will continue to increase 2% per. So basically, if you're healing a survivor, you get interrupted. 50% of that recovered progress will continue by 2% per second. So, shit. What the fuck did I do? Okay, there we go. In a way, it's kind of like healing, where healing progress is increased over time by 2% per second. But you're guaranteed 50% of recovered progress. Now, okay, this is kind of weird, because does that mean that you could theoretically heal a survivor up to 50%, and then you can fuck off and leave them alone, and then they would just be fully healed? 2% per second, you're trying to get 50%. So, like, after... Oh, no. Divided. Okay, 50 divided by 2. So, after 25 seconds, a survivor would gain 50% progress. Now, we don't know what this means. We don't know if the cap is 50% or if it just means 50% in general will be healed. Because, on one hand, I can see this being extremely broken. Because I could see a survivor healing another survivor by 50%, like at the 50% margin, and then they can just fuck off to decode and do other things, and the survivor they just healed to 50% then gets fully healed. And I can see that being extremely broken. But if it's the halfway mark thing, then I can see this not really being that big of a deal. This will especially be good on survivors, on teams with healing, since healing also has that thing where you recover progress over time while you're running about. So I definitely see this having the potential of being broken, but we have to wait and see until it comes to the test server for us to really examine what the new effect does. Chill or cold stare or cold, the most infamous talent in the game, the one that I think. Okay, I'm back again. I realized what the fuck happened and my recording fucked up again. Fuck me. So I'm just gonna speedrun what I talked about with Cold Stare. They're basically replacing it now when your primary item that has to be consumable, so it can't be something like a recharge item, can't be something like Wildling or any of that stuff. It has to be consumable. Once that is consumed, then the nearest chest is revealed to you, and the next chest that is open will instantly be the next chest that you open will be instantly opened for uh uh okay, let me repeat that. So, Cold Stare has been replaced by this new talent, and basically, after you use up a consumable item, your primary consumable item, the nearest chest will be revealed, and when you open a chest, that chest will be opened instantly instead of 10 seconds, which can be only opened once. This can only occur once. So, overall, I see this being broken. I can see this being broken, but I do think this is a good replacement for Chill, which is borderline useless in the meta right now. And I also do kind of see this being a extremely good situational item for a lot of the characters in this game, such as Coordinator, such as Mercenary, such as Forward, such as a Cowboy, especially for a lot of the harassers who kind of needs to use their items often and can become sitting ducks once they finally use their item. It also means that it allows you to open a chest instantly in chase, potentially, which is pretty funny. But yeah, don't count on that. So yeah, overall, I do think this is a good change to Chill, and I can't wait to see how this works. And for new mechanics, to speedrun this real quick, they are finally removing the 18-meter range that you can see survivors from mutual support and making it a default feature. So now, any survivor that is 18 meters from you, you can see them. Good change for solo queue. Next up comes to Curiosity. Now it reveals the outline of the three ciphers at the end game permanently instead of it for lasting for only like 4 or 5 seconds. And now the outline will change when a cipher has 50% more decoding progress to allow you to, determine which ciphers you need to prioritize. Once again, good change, good change. Nothing more I can say about that. Mutual support to speedrun this. Same effect as last time, but now you increase the movement speed from 6% to 10% when running towards that survivor, and with a greater boost at long distances, remove the speed boost upon entering chase. So, essentially, when running towards a survivor who is injured and not in chase, you gain a 6 to 10% speed boost while you're running towards them. I'm guessing that's how it works. It sounds like, yeah, it's the same as symbiotic effect actually. So I'm guessing it was meant to combine with symbiotic effect, but it gets removed when you enter chase, which makes sense. But overall, I do think this is a decent change in my opinion. Uh, I don't know. There's not much I can say about mutual support. This talent is basically fodder for me. The only reason I bring it is for symbiotic effect for rescuers. But I can see this being good, especially if you're running in to heal other teammates. If you're playing a character like Doctor, if you need to give survivors Doblin like Barmaid, I can see this being good. Is all I'm saying. Brewing effect. This absolute dog shit of a talent. Let me see if I'm recording. Yes, I am. Okay, cool. So, yeah, brewing effect, dog shit. How did they change that? Granted teammates who are not decoding 1% decoding speed per second up to 12 seconds. So, like normal. After a teammate is placed on a rocket chair or accelerated decoding begins, Remove this bonus after decoding for 10 seconds upon stopping decoding. What the fuck? Okay. Oh, wait. So they just straight up nerfed this. Okay, never mind. They just straight up nerfed this. So basically, oh no, they buffed it. So basically, you gain the buff. I'm guessing the 12% buff when a survivor is placed on rocket chair, when accelerated decoding is applied, begins, and yeah, that's it. You just gain the buff. It's a 12% buff for 10 seconds when a survivor is on chair or accelerated decoding begins. The effect does not stack, so yeah, you cannot just like wait 10 seconds, like wait on the ground for 10 seconds, build up your buff, decode, the survivor gets chaired, and you gain 24% buff. That's not how that works. Overall, that's a decent way to buff it. Now, I definitely see some problems with it, especially if you're running audience effect. Because then instead of a 10% decoding buff, it's now a 22% decoding buff. So I can definitely see this being problematic with audience effect. But we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully Joker Studios does something about Brewing Effect if this is the way that they're doing it. If they're nerfing Brewing Effect, and making the effect a bit weaker, then I can definitely see this being decent. Other than that, though, I'm definitely a bit scared about how this could turn out with this effect being placed on Brewing Effect. Also, it says the effect does not stack. I'm guessing this just means with Brewing Effect. So I definitely do think that Audience Effect and Brewing Effect could stack on each other if this, in this situation. So this could definitely be scary, is all I'm saying. It could definitely be scary. Distraction. That's, where is that? Distraction. Well, okay, I'm not going to look for it. Adjust the effect after the exit gates are powered. Oh, right. It's, every 40 seconds, you see the hunter's aura. You see the hunter's location. Okay, so this could change. Adjust the effect so that after exit gates are powered, the hunter is revealed for 5 seconds every 15 seconds while within 32 meters of you. So, okay, instead of it being, the original version where once the gates are powered, you gain a global highlight on the hunter for 5 seconds. It became every 40 seconds that happened, and now it got changed to where you need to be 32 meters of the hunter, but you get more wall hacks, like 5 seconds of wall hacks every 15 seconds. I'm guessing the only useful thing about this is in the end game when you're trying to buy as much time as possible for your teams to open the exit gates. That's really the only way I can see this being useful. Other than that, I think this is just a net nerf to distraction, unless you're being chased by the hunter at the end game. Other than that, it's an interesting change. I just don't think this is that good of a change, though. Herd behavior. Remove the 80-second cooldown on the highlight and changed it to a 40-second cooldown calculated based on the hunter. I don't know what that last part means, but that basically just cuts the cooldown of herd behavior in half. So now you will get a bit more wall hacks on the hunter every time they leave chase, which I do think is a pretty decent buff for herd behavior, but not much more there is to say about that. Is that it? Is there no hunter talent adjustments? I guess not. That's interesting. Onto map adjustments. Okay, we're getting map adjustments as well. Adjustments for 4 ranked maps: Lakeside, Moonlit, Red Church, Arms Factory. Weaken strong terrain and strengthen weak terrain. So basically what that means is that the big kiting areas in the in these maps will get nerfed, but the weak kiting areas in that map will also be buffed. So they're basically trying to make a middle ground where the strong areas are not that strong, but the weak areas are not that weak. Adjust Cypher spawn positions to balance the win rate of each spawn group. So that's basically meaning that, some Cypher areas are going to be better. Like, right now, there are some Cypher areas that are better for the survivors, and there are some Cypher spawns that are better for the hunter. And I'm guessing they're going to be changing that to balance that, to make that a bit better for hunters or survivors. Because, yeah, some Cypher locations can be absolutely devastating. I think the biggest one from this list that I can think of is, I'm trying to think. Uh, Actually, I can't think of one. I think most of the Cypher locations on these maps are just brutal for hunters. The only one I could see being like especially brutal for survivors would actually be on like Arms Factory, the Cypher that's outside that can spawn outside of the factory, or the Sandbag Cypher. Other than that, most of the Cypher locations are just painful with the hunter, so I could definitely see them just buffing Cypher locations for the hunter. And finally, added new interactive components to the bridge at Moonlit River Park to increase survivor rescue attempts and anti-inception balancing. So they're nerfing the bridge, which is honestly not that surprising because the bridge is probably the most painful locations to be at when on a rocket chair, especially if the chair spawns on the bridge, because there's basically nothing you can do when you're placed next to these bridges, because your resources are just nowhere in sight, and you kind of need to rely on the hunter either being in attack recovery or your support is just really helping you out to get to those kiting areas. So, and also just the fact that, yeah, once again, insertion capabilities. Basically, yeah, the hunter can just intercept you at these bridges, and you're kind of fucked, especially when you're trying to rescue. So, I do agree. I do think they need to change the bridges on Moonlit. All right, next up, info display. Added more noticeable visual indicators to cipher machines, which with more than 80% of progress when the hunter remains still without significant rotating cameras. This indicator further enhances with 50% more. Okay, so I think this is uh the visual buffs they wanted to give to players who, have a hard time seeing, ciphers shaking. And I do like this change. It requires you to stand still, which can, be a detriment or a boon, the give or take. But I definitely see this being really good, especially when you're camping, because you're going to be doing a lot less moving. So being able to see which ciphers need to be, controlled on characters like Ivy, characters like Qwiz, characters like, um, I don't know, Clark. I think that'll be really good. So I think this is a good change. I was against this originally, but honestly, I've come around to it. I think this is a good change. Optimize the information indicators shown after a rocket server is placed on rocket ship. Basically, what this means is that I think someone said this, a YouTuber that I will not be naming, that when a survivor in whatchamacallit, there was a survivor when survivors are in the spectator mode and they see a survivor on rocket chair, the light on the bottom of the survivor's HUD actually grows brighter when they're on the second stage on the chair. But this wasn't carried over to the main game. Now it will be carried over to the main game, which will be good because it allows people to prioritize what targets to go after when they're playing Hunter, but it also tells survivors what targets to protect with their lives. Especially if you see two survivors with the red mark. Back then, you wouldn't know which one to prioritize, but now, with this change, you might see that, Psychologist has a brighter red mark. while this other survivor does not. So I need to prioritize protecting her, which will definitely help a lot about the team sense. Uh, so yeah, good change. When a survivor's movement speed increases, their footprints will appear continuously. Oh my god. Okay, this is a really, really massive buff to hunters because one of the annoying things when dealing with survivors' movement speeds is the fact that, especially with rugby ball, if a survivor had rugby ball and they pulled away with the rugby ball, it would be really hard to track down that survivor because their footprints would be sporadic. They would spread out sporadically on the ground and it would make tracking them harder. With this change, now it'll be a lot easier to track these survivors, whether it be from knee jerk, whether it be from borrowed time, whether it be from I'm hoping elbow pads, whether it be from rugby ball. It'll be a lot easier to track them now, which will be a massive boon to hunters. So good change. Added a display below survivor portraits to show teammates' current actions, such as decoding, healing, struggling, and dismantling the hunter's creations. Progress is also shown through these actions, except for decoding. So basically, what this means is that now teammates can see what the hell you're doing when you are, playing the game. So think of it like the HUD changes that they did to Dead by Daylight, where you're like repairing a generator, you're breaking a hook, you're opening a chest, you're opening a totem, healing teammates. Your teammates in IDV will now be able to see that, which is a massive, massive buff to solo queue gameplay. It also means you won't need to ping as active anymore to tell the team that yes, you are indeed decoding and not running around the map doing fuck all. So yeah, really good change to Survivor gameplay. And progress is shown with these actions with the exception of decoding, which makes sense because you can just ping your decoding time. That makes sense. Survivors revealed by X-ray vision through the hunter talents or abilities will be notified. Basically, what this means is that if you are highlighted by the hunter in any way, the game will now tell you, which is a nerf to hunters, all things considered. But I do think this is a good change for survivors. It allows them to know when they're being highlighted, and does allows them to play around that a bit better. So yeah, good change. Finally, survivors can choose faction only chat before the match for easier lineup selection and strategy discussion. That is a massive, massive nerf to Hunter. Basically, what this means is that now, okay, so back then, or at least now, right now, when you're in the pre-chat before the match starts, you can't really vocalize your strategy with your teammates if you're in a solo queue match because of the fact that the hunter can read the chat as well. Now you can enter a faction only chat for you and your teammates. So now you can tell your teammates what your game plan is, what you plan to do, plan with your team without the hunter knowing what you're about to do. So now you will be able to do all these things. You'll be able to strategize with your team, actually communicate with your team, and come up with a game plan on how to play the game without the hunter learning what you're doing, learning your plan, and then, switching things up to account for them. So, massive nerf to Hunter, but massive buff to solo queue, which is really nice. Next change that they did. Add a match timer so you can view the match duration in real time. Okay, this is just the quality of life thing. You can see now if a match lasts for either 5 minutes or 5 hours if you're in a match with, what's her name? Clerk. Fine change. There's not really much you can say about that. It's just like a decent quality of life. Survivor area selection will now recommend positions based on the lineup and selected characters. Players can manually disable these recommendations. The area selection can also now be viewed in the loading screen. So now the game will try to recommend spawn locations for your team based on the survivors you've chosen. Obviously, you can disable this at any time, but this will be really good in preventing these, as you can see right here, borderline garbage setups that you can pick as Survivor. Additionally, you will be able to see the area selection during the loading screen. So now you will have a lot more planning to do in figuring out where to go once the area selection phase ends and you're loading into the match. So it can help you prevent you from kiting towards your teammates. It can give you a, you know, better time thinking about which routes to take, where to go. It can also help you plan in VC where everyone should go. It can also help remind you of the hunter you're facing against if you miss your opportunity to see them and see their spawn location. There's a lot of things that will help you in the loading screen with this change, and I do think this is a good change. A lot of survivor buffs, by the way, like just base kit survivor buffs. Added condensed skill descriptions and role identifiers in the notebook to make it easier to understand. It's self-explanatory. It just made it easier to absorb the information or absorb the role that you're playing as. Decent change. Quality of life, nothing else to say. Recent balance changes will now be displayed in the notebook and matching room so visitors can quickly check to see what's been updated. That's really good because one of the most annoying things is trying to remember what things were changed with a character after the update has been, finished and the notebook has been changed, so now you can no longer access the balance changes without going to the Wikipedia. So being able to see quickly what was changed about your character is a good thing. I think that is a good change. It's a good quality of life nonetheless. Optimize survivor side tips for decoding cipher machines and exit gates. Survivors can now see what decoding speed up or down, slowing down your decoding at a glance. Basically, what this means is that you will now see what is affecting your decoding speed progress. So, for example, if there's a peeper that's on the ground, you can now see that it is affecting your decoding progress. I don't know if it'll tell you the penalty, but it'll tell you it is affecting you. Or in the case of, let's say, panic, if panic is active, the game will now tell you that panic is now inactive to decrease your decoding progress. It's basically the same thing as the decrease and increase changes that they did in Dead by Daylight, but I guess now they're just feeding you a bit more information to allow you to discern what is increasing and decreasing your progress, which is a decent change. Again, replays now support scribbling. Wait, now support scrubbing. I don't know what that means, but oh well. Yeah, I don't know what that means. Now supports scrubbing. I'm guessing that it's trying to say it now supports Scribble Idea, because that is a game mode that, yeah, Scribble Idea. That's like the only thing I could see this meaning. So now you can report gameplay on Scribble Idea. If it's not, then I'm sorry for the misinformation. I just don't know what this means. But yeah, probably a good change. Added a try again button on the post-match screen. Solo players will re-queue with the same role as the previous match. In a team, it will take you right back to the lobby. Okay, so this is is it a good change? Maybe. It probably is. Basically, if you don't want to go back into the lobby as a solo queue player and you just want to play the match again, try again, and re-queue, there's a button now that'll make it easier to just re-queue into the match. A decent change, I think. I just don't think. I don't know. I don't think it's that interesting of a change, though. Post-match chat now requires manual entry. Okay, so now if you want to access post-game chat, by the way, let me open an essence. Okay, got nothing. Now if you want to access the post-game chat, it will not automatically put you into the post-game chat. Now you have to manually enter the chat in order to see your teammates calling you slurs, sending your address to you, and sending you death threats for, it's stuffing a rescue once. So yeah. Added an option to block messages sent by teammates other than standard or instant quick messages. Basically allows you to, does what it says. If it's not a standard message or an instant message, then you can just block the teammates from using very complicated the complicated messaging system from the game. Which, like, I don't know why you would do that since it is a good system, but oh well, you do you, I guess. Cipher machines, rocket chairs, and chests will all remain visible as long as their outlines are not obstructed. So I'm guessing what this means is that if the outlines are not obstructed by like walls, then you will have consistent view on a cipher machine, rocket chair, and chest, which is good. A good change. Nothing else for me to say on that, honestly. Allowed survivors who struggle free and fall from the balloons to briefly ignore the hunter's collision if there is a little room to move nearby. So basically, if the hunter's trying to body block you by using their body to shove you into a corner, you will ignore collision now when you struggle free if there is room for you to move. Good change. Good change because yeah, that can be annoying. I can see that being annoying. And that's it for the changes, the balance changes. Every single balance adjustment to hunters, survivors, to survivor talents, map challenge changes, and the experience. Overall, I'm actually really, really excited for all these balance changes. I think this is all coming next season, and I'm really, really looking forward to all these changes. This feels like this could massively shake up the gameplay for survivors and hunters, and these will all be incredible buffs for survivors, while also giving a little bit of quality of life or good changes to hunters, which makes sense because I feel like hunters have been on the uprise recently, especially considering that most of the hunters that have been in the game that have been released have been pretty broken. So, yeah, I'm definitely excited for that. Uh, I guess to wrap things up, I guess to like speed things up, optimizations, acrobat face rework, embalmer face rework, mind's eye skin rework, prisoner, coordinator. Yeah, these guns. I'm sure people will be happy about this one. Yeah, this one. Merc, he doesn't look ugly anymore. Yay. Lawyer, he still looks fucking ugly even with this dog shit skin. I think that's, yeah. Ada. Ada gets her accessory reworked because now she has that new ability, so now the ability changes to compensate for that. Good change. Yeah. There's that. Uh, the live show, the content shown in the video will go live on June 25th. So all this stuff will go live on June 25th. Massive improvement. Next up is, I think this is Copycat. Copycat, yeah, brand new Copycat map. Yeah, okay, this is a new map, like straight up a new map. I'm guessing it's gonna be based off of the manor. B-Duck, Archer, and who is that? Embalmer, and Archer. I kind of forgot this was Embalmer because Embalmer doesn't usually have his mask, but whatever. Crossover, B-Duck. That's for the Paper Bride. This is for who? Aquarian. So Auntie's getting a Paper Bride costume alongside psychologist and patient. Okay, that makes sense. Psychologist and patient. Patient costume for free. Once again, being very kind to their players. Psychologist crossover costume in-game store. Don't buy it. Please don't buy it. If you care about the boycott. Double dose. Time Raider crossover. Okay, Time Raiders. Not gonna lie, Time Raiders. Who is it? Iron Triangle revealed novelist, mercenary, aeroplanist. Okay. We each have a tier costume. Come with a maximum accessory. July 60. Unexpected crossover. Visual debut. Costume Naiad. Yeah. This costume A tier will also be Naiad. Okay. So Naiad costumes for free, I think. Time Raiders. Yeah. IP. Fire Investigator skin. I don't know for what. Okay, I don't care. Yeah, I've seen this. The Priestess skin and her accessory, S tier and accessory. Yeah, this returns. We already knew this would return. Who is shocked at all? Special announcements. IDV is honored to be selected official esports title. Asia Games, yeah. Yeah, alright, everyone knows the Asia Games. Koa. Artwork. Trainer. So I'm guessing this is an event. Yeah. IDV champion for IBT. And it contains survivors. Archer, barmaid, aeroplanist, acrobat, and I don't know who that last survivor is. Opera. That's Opera. Okay. And that's it. That is everything to do with the live stream. Wow, that took a long time to talk about. It's mainly because of the balance changes. God damn. But yeah, okay. To sum up my thoughts, everything was boring up until the balance changes. I'm not gonna lie. Everything about this was boring up until the balance changes, and that's mainly because I do not give a shit about skins or events. I only care about the actual balance of the game. So, yeah. As for the balance changes, okay, to go over them one more time, I actually think this will be a massive meta shakeup, especially when it comes to the survivor side, because there are so many character reworks in this actual balance change cycle. We have Embalmer, we have Barmaid, we have Magician, we have Batter and Fire Investigator, we have Explorer and Mindset getting base kit Airwalk, and then we got Composer, we got Knight, we got Doctor, who's getting massively cut down. Like, these are actual massive, like, meta shakeup defining reworks to these characters. And then we got like minor buffs and nerfs to hunters, like, which is disappointing, but I guess warranted, especially Qis, who got gutted in half alongside Goatman. And then we got talents. We got replacements to some worthless talents, in addition to some actually potentially game-breaking talents, which will be interesting to see. We got some changes to existing talents, which will definitely help them, be a bit better in the meta. I don't think they'll replace the must-haves, but I definitely think they will be good. Oh my god, I missed this. Holy shit, I can't believe I almost missed this. How did I miss this? Okay, apparently I almost missed the Hunter talents, so thank god I went back and looked at it, because now I can actually read these talents. No Survivors. Okay, No Survivors is getting removed, which, like, I love No Survivors. I'll admit that I love it, but I'm not crying over this, because, yeah, this talent is basically not worth 15 points. So it's getting replaced with a new talent. When a normal attack hits a survivor, if there are other survivors within 25 meters, the outline is revealed. Their outlines are revealed for 4 seconds, and attack recovery speed is increased by 12%. So basically, what this means is that for 4 seconds, so if there are survivors next to you, when No Survivors is active, this new one, and you hit a survivor, whether it's to go down or it's just a normal hit, your attack recovery speed is increased during that time, and every other survivor that's right next to you is revealed. So I think this is meant to help with harassers again. I think a lot of this stuff is to help with harassers, which, good change. I will say good change. And I do think this will make No Survivors a lot more viable in an active sense compared to the more passive sense, where originally No Survivors would help you when you're playing hunters like Weeping, Smiley Face, or Joseph, because it helps you detect down survivors if there's other survivors nearby. But I do think I like it better to have a more active role. So yeah, I do think this will be a good change. Quenching effect. I do not like quenching effect. I've said this. I don't like quenching effect because it requires you to wait 40 seconds before you find your your required target. As a decoder, I hate quenching effect. As a hunter, I hate quenching effect because it's useless and requires you to waste more time than you actually gain. So let's see how they change it. Within 120 seconds after the exit games are powered. Oh no. Okay. Already, I don't like I don't like this. Within 120 seconds after the exit gates are powered. This means this is an endgame talent. Let's read further, but if this is on the same league as claustrophobia, then I might have some words for it. If the hunter uses an ability that deals less damage than a normal attack, the damage is increased to match the one of a normal attack instead. Okay. Cooldown 30 seconds. So what this means is that for 120 seconds after the exit gates are powered, if you deal chip damage in any way to a survivor, then it will deal the same as normal damage. I don't know if this means it'll apply detention. It probably won't. It'll just deal the same damage as a normal attack. And it will have a cooldown of 30 seconds. This will definitely make it more lethal with chip hunters, specifically. So, characters like Sculptor, Bonbon, Gamekeeper, Peddler, those hunters will now be a lot more lethal to go up against with this new change, with this new passive buff. So basically now it went from a ability that is useless at the beginning of the game and won't really do much. Will either waste your time or, down a decoder, I guess, to an ability that will help you at the end game. Overall, I think this is better than what we have because I think quenching effect is just annoying to deal with. But I definitely see this being another ability that you just ignore. Like, let's be honest. Like, you're probably gonna ignore this even if you're playing a chip hunter because let's be honest, how useful is dealing normal attack damage with your chip hit that only applies every 30 seconds? It's just not that useful. Vigilance. This is really funny because Vigilance was just added into the game, I think, and now it's being removed. So where is it? I need to see what it does again because I kind of forgot. Vigilance. Okay, yeah, this one. So yeah, it's the one where when the first three ciphers are active, each activation increases your movement speed by 9% for 10 seconds and pallet breaking for 15%. It's like very, very situational buff that was added in the last hunter cycle, and it's already being removed. So it kind of shows you just how fucking worthless this talent became. So what was it changed to? For 40 seconds after eliminating a survivor, the first survivor to be exact, movement speed is increased by 10% when no survivors are within 60 minutes. So basically, what this means is that when the first survivor is eliminated, you now gain a movement speed boost for 40 seconds until you essentially find a survivor. This is a bit more useful than the original one. Still not useful. I'm just going to be flat out. I don't think this is going to be that useful. But yeah, it'll definitely be a bit more useful than the original one. But yeah, don't expect me to run this in my builds, and I don't expect anyone to run this on their builds. Anyways, with that done, with these talents, overall, I think these talents are way less impactful than the Survivor talent reworks. The one that I see being good is no survivors, and I guess quenching effect? No, not even quenching effect. Just no survivors. The other two are very situational, and I definitely don't see them providing as much value as, say, Airwalk's new replacement, Chill's new replacement, or even like Prisoner Demos. I don't know, but we'll have to see. But yeah, I just don't expect these to be that useful. I'm being real. Anyways, next we have Confined Space. They're vaulting through a window affected by confined space. The effect duration will now reset instead of ending immediately. New effect, increase the hunter's vaulting speed by 10%. So now confined space will be a lot more deadly to face off against as a survivor, because now, rather than the vaulting speed being the vault being reset, or rather than the confined being deleted when vaulting a window, now it'll just reset. So now the timer reset to 20 seconds again when you vault a window. So yeah, that's an insane change to make alongside the 10% increased vaulting speed for the hunter, which can be combined with hunt to give the hunter a 20% vault speed increase, but that's not going to be that useful. You're not going to use hunt. But yeah, 10%, it's still very good. I think this will make confined a really, really, really oppressive talent in some situations, but I don't think it will be the must-have that trump card will be, or insolence for some hunters. But I definitely do think confined space will be absolutely deadly in a lot of situations. So yeah, there's that. Giant Claw's next. Giant Claw. Okay, to just okay. New effect. Struggle progress gained when the 100% of the survivors is capped at 16, 18, and 0%. That means that at max level, you will gain no progress to your struggle speed when a hunter drops you. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. That means the hunter has all the free reign to deal with harassers when they are trying to deal with the struggling survivor. That means that there's a less chance, or even a zero chance, that the survivor will be able to struggle free from the hunter's grasp from simply dropping them. And I think that can be massive, but once again, it's definitely not one that you want to prioritize because you need like 5, 10, 50, 20, 25, 25 points in order to actually get Giant Claw to its max potential. So I definitely don't think it will be that massive, the 0% thing. I do think that is an absolutely outstanding buff to Giant Claw, though, and will make it way more worth running. Like, it will make it very enticing to run it, especially on characters like Naiad, where you definitely want Giant Claw to bring survivors to basements. If you're going for those basement hunters, then I definitely see Giant Claw being a must-have now. Other than that, I definitely don't think Giant Claw will be a mainstay on a lot of builds, but I definitely do see a lot of potential with this buff, so I do think it is a really good buff. Nostalgia is up next. Nostalgia is the one that highlights survivors who were just gotten off rocket chairs, and depending on how far you are, they will gain other debuffs. With this change, it changes the speed boost condition from when you are more than 12 meters away from the rescued survivor to immediately after a survivor is rescued. Increase the speed boost duration from 16 to 20%. 12 seconds to 16 seconds. So now, instead of you gaining a 10% speed boost for 12 seconds based on the distance, you now just get it when a survivor gets rescued. I'm guessing this is to counter harassers as well as companion effect, but nevertheless, I do think this is a very insane buff to give to what's it called? Nostalgia. For 12 seconds. Yeah, 12 seconds of 10% speed boost is actually quite powerful. Just like any time a survivor is rescued. And it's got buffed to 16 seconds. So now you get 10% speed boost after a survivor's been rescued for 16 seconds. And this can be combined with Other things, such as inertia, such as peddler speed boost, Itaqua. It can be combined with impulsive. It is massive. It is a massive buff to nostalgia, and I can definitely see this being run a lot more on my builds, just because of how powerful 10% is compared to survivors. Finally, there's Street Sweeper. Adjust the effect to reveal survivors who are healing or being healed, but within 32, 56, and 80 meters. It increased the time to 30%. Survivors remain revealed for 5 seconds after the healing speed is complete. So, yeah, Street Sweeper got its range buffed even greater now. It is a greater buff, making it way more incentive to bring more of it. Because here's the thing, the problem with Street Sweeper back then was that there was no point to bringing it because the range was so short. And so the proper solution was just to buff it to where the current effect was the 32-meter range. But now it had the opposite effect to where you only just bring one point of Street Sweeper and nothing else, and nothing really changes. Like, you don't really need to bring more of it because the 32 meters was already fine. Now you have a even greater incentive to bring 3 stacks of it because now you will gain a 80-meter range to sweep up where people are healing. This will mean that people can no longer heal next to you anymore when they're trying to rescue. This means that people can no longer be somewhat close but not close enough. Like, let's say you're in the corner of Leo's and then you're healing uh right next to the barrels, next to the entrance of Leo's. Now you can no longer heal there because now the hunter will be able to detect you from that range, even if they just walk a little bit closer to the entrance. Like, it just makes trying to hide from the hunter that much harder. It makes trying to go for risky heals that much scarier. It just makes dealing with hunters much scarier if they have this talent. And I think this is a massive, massive buff to healing. Additionally, they straight up capped the healing speed to 30%, which I think is fair. No, let's be honest, nobody is bringing Street Sweeper for the decreased healing speed. They're bringing it for the range. And they didn't nerf the initial range, so if you bring 1 stack of Street Sweeper, you get the same range that you would now. But if you want to invest more points in it, you gain a lot more range, which will definitely be a lot more helpful when dealing with survivors aggressively healing, which I think is a massive buff to Street Sweeper. Overall, I do think the Hunter talents were a bit more lacking than Survivor talents, but I do think these were good changes all around, especially stuff such as Nostalgia, Confined Space. Like, the buffs to the talents are a lot greater than the reworks. I'm just going to be flat out. But I do think these were necessary buffs. And I do think these will help hunters in the long run. Let me check to see if I'm recording still. Yes, I am. Okay, and with all that, now I've officially talked about everything about the show. And I do think there's a lot to be excited about. I do think the map changes are exciting, just from the little blurbs that we've heard. I think a lot of the adjustment to the survivor gameplay from the optimizations is exciting. Even stuff like the footprints and the cipher machine things are really exciting for hunters because it allows them to track survivors much more efficiently. The chair thing is a lot better for survivors and hunters to allow them to plan a lot more. The faction chat, the icons, like, this is all really exciting changes coming on June 25th. And I do think this will drastically shake up the gameplay for both survivors and hunters, and I am extremely looking forward to seeing all these changes come to live servers, especially the gamekeeper change, especially all the survivor reworks that they did. Like, this is an exciting balance change cycle for the game, and I really look forward to it. With all that being said, that about covers everything I have to say about the live show. Uh, I will talk about my plans on IDV when I eventually do the mine video, which I will, do not worry. But yeah, exciting stuff is coming to the game soon. I hope you would continue the boycott, and I hope eventually 90s makes their statement. But other than that, that's it for today's video. I will come back later with the mine video. It will finish soon. Do not worry. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.